Hey, hello. It's Thursday, 18th of May, 2023, and this is the bi-weekly UX and design meeting for Backdrop CMS. Before we get into the meeting, we usually go around the room and do some short introductions. I'll start with myself. My name is Greg. I'm usually located in Melbourne, Australia, but currently joining from Greece. We recently had the 125 release on last Monday, actually, and really excited about it because some really cool features got in, and yeah, happy to get into the new round until we get to the next release and add more features. I'll pass it on to Martin.
Hello, I'm Martin Price, web developer in Northeast England, United Kingdom. I'm working on some performance improvements for a site at the moment, learning some new tricks, and also working on a brand new module, which is an integration with another service, which I'll going to keep under my hat until it's ready, but I'm quite excited about that work. It's more exciting than some of the humdrum stuff. So, and to Tim.
You're teasing us, Martin. Okay, I'm Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim, and I am in Deerwood, Minnesota today. Next month, I might be coming to you from more in the Twin Cities again for a short while, doing some house sitting for a few weeks. Anyways, yeah, great release. Looking forward to the next steps. Nothing special. Let's move on. Yeah, so there's just the three of us, kind of a quiet meeting today, but we thought we've got Greg's encyclopedic knowledge of the issue queue, so we're confident that we can come up with a few issues to talk about. I think our primary goal in this meeting is just to unstick issues, right? Help move things forward that in the issue queue mightn't have gotten bogged down. Sometimes things get stalled. They just don't move as quickly when we're trying to negotiate them online as they can. If two or three of us talk about them live, we can make a lot more progress. So the issue, the challenge before us is to find some issues that can benefit from that treatment. Right. And Greg, did you find anything to get us started?
Yeah, lots of things. Yes. So let's start with 6114, for example.
Okay.
Does anyone feel like sharing their screen?
I like to do that.
Yes, if you can do that, that'd be
yeah.
Perfect. So that's actually a follow-up issue.
Just an unrelated UX. Do you not find it a bit glaring using GitHub in light mode?
Yeah, I always use dark mode.
I love dark mode. It's
how do I switch?
It's in your profile.
Yeah,
I want a temporary switch. I don't want a permanently switch.
No, it's just in
my profile.
I think your personal settings.
Am I going to reveal anything secret here?
Bottom.
No.
Settings at the bottom.
Appearance, probably. Appearance. There we go. Which one do you like? Dark default, dark high contrast?
Just go.
This one's kind of crazy.
Good
enough?
Yeah. It makes it easier for the screenshots as well, because the admin UI is wide. So if you go back to the issue.
Oops, that was it, I think, wasn't it? This one?
Yeah. So yeah, if you reload, refresh the page.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Yeah. So now you can see which part of the issue is the screenshot as well. So yeah, this is a follow-up issue. The options that you see in the first screenshot is what we introduced currently. And we need some feedback with regards. Some people have expressed their opinions. It's just that the main bad experience here is that we have separate help text for each option, and we also have another help text which applies to all of them, right? So
Mhm.
I know that people had different thoughts and valid reasons for keeping the actual options short, like the short versions of them. But I think that at least what we can agree is that we should move part of the main help text to become the label of the three options. So if you scroll a bit further down, there's a screenshot that Jen added of the proposal. So yes, that was the one. If you discard and ignore the changes to the lengthier options, at least we should change the label to be parent menu item behavior on small screens. And that negates the necessity for having a help text, a main help text, and then we can keep. So yeah, this is a follow-up of something that we discussed in the main issue before it was merged, and the issue currently is tagged with needs feedback. So add your thoughts, wordsmithing, whatever, and then it should be pretty easy to just improve this.
Okay, so I think what Olaf and myself were getting to on the last issue in terms of liking the short version is that so we get two different sort of situations here, right? One of which is somebody who understands kind of what these words mean and somebody who doesn't and needs an explanation. And the problem I see with this is that once you know what these words mean, you come here, you see the word and you click. Even if you know what those words mean, or if you don't know what they mean and you land on this page, you would like have to read all three lines and they're complete before you know. I mean, it's like you don't have that shortcut. And that seems like a regression to me. So I'm not against, I mean, I like the idea of making it easier for people who maybe don't know what toggle means. But to simply remove the word toggle means now, you know, there's no quick click for me now, right? I have to read this out every time I come to this page. So can we just have one line but include the word toggle like in parentheses or have that be the first word?
Look,
go ahead.
That was the main pushback, and it wasn't just yourself and Olaf, it was
right.
also Nate. Nate also said that he finds the short
right.
versions, and it was for the same reasons. So as I said, that's why the issue is marked as needs feedback. So if you add your feedback there and say what you think in the either to restate
sure.
those reasons, or just to agree and do a thumbs up, thumbs down, I prefer this or that, then if we have enough opinions there, we can move it forward.
Right.
But as I said, the main annoyance on my part was there's a few things, right? So the main one was that the help text, although we have the option to have both individual help text and the main one, when we do that, it doesn't, there's a lot of help text there. So if we get rid of the main help text and put it as a label, we're moving forward. And then the other thing is we are not clearly explaining what plus minus are. So if people are reading that, they don't know what it is unless they've seen the menu,
right,
or what it is.
So I understand the motivation, and like my first thought, and people probably have objections to this, would be to just add the word in front of the label, default toggle and linked, right? So it's like default dash parent expands on the first tab, toggle parent expands or collapses, link parent. So the word is still there, and it's like up front, you can click on it, but if you need an explanation, it's right there in the label. We don't need this extra.
Sorry, the way you just described though is why we use help text, and it actually, I'm since you guys mentioned those reasons, I'm ambivalent about suggesting that. So I'm happy if we keep the individual help text and the short versions. All I would like us to do is just get rid of this. Yes, and make it a label. Make it shorter and make it a label.
Sure,
that's it.
That makes sense.
But for the help text on the last option, like if you scroll up or if you keep there, I would like us, because it says parent text act as a link, that's okay, and the plus minus element, I don't know. So if I was a new person, I wouldn't know what that is. But so if you can I think that one iteration, what I suggested was a separate plus minus button expands or collapses. You make sure that it's or whatever. It's not exactly actually a button, or depends how you see it. But yes, we need some thoughts on the wording there, and I think that that would solve most of the UX and design issues, complaints. Because I understand that there's pushback on the lengthier things, and as I said, it's valid reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that's one issue that we could use the feedback on. Then another issue is that 6111 that you created, Tim.
Oh, sure. I went to the ChatGPT. These are AI generated images that aren't very good. I hope they would stimulate creativity. Yeah. The issue here is this came from an old issue called where I believe, if I scroll back up to the top, this is what the maintenance page looked like. Or did it even look worse than that? Actually, I think this is what it looks like now, isn't it?
Nope. It has I think that it has the little, yeah, there it is. I think it has the little top, bottom right corner folding thing now.
Okay. So that you think is where it ended up?
Yep.
But so basis was the problem. We could actually, if you scroll down to the bottom, maybe there's a screenshot of the end result.
Or you can spin up a demo site and then put it in maintenance mode.
Well, yeah, but that takes. If we had a screenshot here, this isn't that important. What's important is for this description. What's important is that we had a very ugly page in Basis, and we wanted to make it look a little bit better. And during one of these meetings, we got kind of creative and started talking about maybe we could put some Easter eggs or just make something fun there. And the idea was something along the lines of, the old under construction, but to have the drop the dragon, or we talked about randomly displaying quotes about dragons, or just something on that page that just made it a little bit fun. We run into that sometimes in other software, and it isn't functionally important, but it helps. And anyways, this issue, we never settled on what we would do to improve it. I think the idea of like a drop the dragon doing shoveling would probably be the thing most likely to get community consensus, but we never had anybody do that drawing, and we didn't want to wait, we didn't want to prevent the issue from moving forward without that. So we went ahead and merged in a very simple redesign. And so what I did, I'm sorry for jumping up and down, is just thought somehow this was released like a year or two ago, a couple of years ago. But for some reason I thought about it recently. No, this is the issue that inspired it. Was Luke had created this issue to make these messages a bit more friendly. And I don't think he was proposing anything as creative, but he was saying, hey, can't we do something that this is a standard message people get when they're playing with, like installing local backdrop sites. They often get this message, and we could make that look a lot nicer. And that reminded me of this old Basis issue and the fact that we never did a follow-up issue, which basically is the one I created this week, which was we could still go, even though we've redesigned that page, we could go back and make it a little bit funner. Anyways, so if anybody has ideas on this, I think it would be a fun thing to do.
Tim, can you try the link that I posted on the chat to see if the demo just spins up?
I can. I don't know if it's that important.
It might be important for other. No, in the okay. Not in Zulip, in the Zoom chat.
I know that's hard for me to get to when I'm sharing my screen. Actually, if I stop sharing my screen, then I get it. Yeah, it's a quirk of my Linux distribution is that the chat gets hidden away in Zoom. I've got it open. So
okay, cool. So while you were talking, I got the opportunity to just spin up a demo.
Sure.
And it might help
And
us
I'm-
with,
Oh.
with the,
Okay, admin, visit your site.
yes, that should work.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to put it in maintenance mode?
Yeah, just,
That would
just
be-
out of curiosity, performance, yes.
No,
Oh,
not
sorry, it has a
maintenance.
separate, sorry, it has a separate page. Yeah.
maintenance mode, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Put the site into maintenance mode, and now I think I have to go there.
As
Not
a-
logged in. Right,
Anonymous.
this is,
Yes.
well,
yes.
here,
It's
This
here again,
problem-
it's back. It's back again.
it comes back periodically, and it's not reliable. Most of the time I don't see it.
Yeah,
And
same.
it tends to.
This is, somebody also opened an issue to fix this, where this message goes in between. You know what, I might make that my mission, because I find this to be really kind of ugly.
Yeah.
The where that message goes. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm trying to jump to another browser so I can see. Yeah, so this is the current maintenance mode
Yeah.
message, which frankly, I don't think is a lot better than what it was, but it's a little bit better.
Mm,
This is in basis, right?
Yeah.
For a non-logged in user. And,
Yeah,
and like,
if you switch back to the other instance where we have the demo and you switch the main theme in appearance to be 7, we should see, and then refresh. Click. So if you go to appearance,
well, yeah, but why would we have 7 set up for visitors to the site?
yeah, you're right. You're right. We
Yeah,
wouldn't.
that's not really a common use case. If you're logged in, you don't see the maintenance mode at all. You just get this little, reminder. So this is me logged in during maintenance mode as an admin, and I get a little reminder saying, and there is an issue about this. Some of us have complained that the go online. In fact, I think I updated this issue recently. This is a really kind of confusing statement. Go online. Well, I am online. I don't know what that means. But basically, that's just a link back to this page. Anyways, when you're logged in, you actually see the site. You just continually get these reminders. No matter where you go, you'll get that little pop-up saying you're in maintenance. Oh, well, of course not there because I left the site. But if I go to any other page, I get that. If I'm visiting the site, this is what I see. So this is what a site visitor sees. I think we could make this page a little funner. On the other hand, this is a very fringe case, right?
Yeah.
The number of people that are ever getting this page is very low, but so it's not worth a lot of work. On the other hand, it's an opportunity to just show that we're creative and fun people, and have this page not be so boring. And so I feel like a 3D dragon might be a little bit over the top, but Martin, you came up actually as you were building that 3D model. That made me think about this. Wouldn't it be cool if we could use that to sort of help us?
mm,
In the past, we've just, for a long time, we had this on our design agenda. I don't think we ever asked, I'm sorry, I forget his name, the recent guy who's helped us with some design issues. Goku. I don't think we ever asked him. This was far enough in the past that we'd forgotten about this. But this might be something he would be willing to do, or anybody with some chops to basically make a version of Drop
Yeah.
that we could put on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would also.
I mean,
I
if
don't
we
know.
wanted to, I think prices are very reasonable. If we did want to commission the guy who did the 3D model to say, can you do a pose like this? That could be an option, because I'm not sure that we've got people who have the. We've got very talented people, and we've got some people with good eye for design, but it's that kind of more in-depth design where you're actually creating an image and doing that might be a bit trickier than some of them that those of us who've got design skills can actually do. So could be worth looking outside.
Greg, can you answer? So I think this is a great point, and I would be totally up for that, and I would be willing to kick in towards like doing that. I'm not sure if I'm a little bit nervous. The 3D rendering, I think we could use that in like some of our social media and stuff. I'm not I feel like a 3D drawing on the website might be too much.
Yeah.
That if we could just get a nice flat one, that would be good. So I don't know, but we could still use maybe the same service, but I don't know if the same artist
Yeah,
would be
well,
suitable for both options. But we can talk about that. I wanted to
yeah,
ask the question.
someone
Go
else.
ahead.
I'm sure there's plenty on
Sure.
that are available for low prices that could do that.
The other thing is if we just periodically put this out like on social media, we might have I would like for us to have a better page on actually Drupal or backdrop.org that says here are things we need help with, specific volunteer tasks like this. So somebody when they say they want to help out, we have a list of tasks of very specific things that we wanted help on. And there's like, remember how long, Greg, we used to have that help us design a new banner or sign. I think we finally got that one done. But we wanted a new sign to take to conferences, and like for 2 years we had that on our meeting agenda, but just that one thing, right? And I'd like to have one place that says here are some non-code related things that we would really like help with. Pick one of these and help us. It's sending people to GitHub, right? That's overwhelming. We need a nice list.
And I thought that CV was able to help with that. I'm not how far we have gone with configuration. Like my understanding was that it has some features where we can ask people that have registered as contributors which
yes,
what's their expertise, and then solicit help that way. But yeah.
CV helps us in a slightly different way with the same problem. It helps us track those who've expressed an interest in helping with design or art, so that we could send a targeted message just to them and say, hey, here's a specific task that you might be able to help us with. And I think that's also something we should do. But I think those are two different sort of steps to solving the same problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Can I ask you this? It seems a little odd to me that there's no branding at all from the site on this page. Or would backdrop normally say like the site name?
The site name
that would normally say the site name. So if this were Fred's Tulip Store, it would say Fred's Tulip Store site under maintenance.
I believe so. Yeah, and this goes. There's a related issue to that, and something that Jen was working on. I think that the issue number, and you will see why I'm mentioning it, is 4410. And if you open that in a tab,
which one is it?
4410. So this discussion, I can do some introduction and explain what the drive behind it, and maybe there's linked issues to it. But if you scroll down, because there's a lot of messages, at some point GitHub collapses the messages. So if we can expand them and go to one around November 2020.
Okay.
So expand it once and it should be November. It has some screenshots and I'll explain what. So currently, as it is, when you have your theme, it renders the header. There you go. So so this is what the Jin theme looks like, and so the drive was this. When you try to log into the backend in WordPress, it takes you to a completely different page. So it sort of like communicates the fact that, hey, you're going to log into a different part of the site now. You're going to a different site, the backend, right? And this is what we're trying to communicate. I think that the issue summary explains it in better words than what I just used. But my point is that the Jin theme, for example, has a nice thing where, since you were talking about the dragons and all, we can put an image there. It would fit there. And I wanted us to create something similar to this. And Jen was working on how we can, I think that the concept is called landing pages or something like that, where you build a layout that doesn't render the footer and the header with the main menu. And it just renders this. Yes. And that's how it's related to the previous page, which is the maintenance page, which also would be a similar layout. Just the text and no header or footer.
Well, is there a reason we can't put the header here? Like,
I
Is it
think
the
that
thought maybe that might be what's under maintenance?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
even the menus or the blocks, right?
Okay, so we can't really display anything.
The safest, let me put it, the
Yeah.
safest thing is to do this.
All right, I get it.
Yeah.
Although I think
there was
I
a
think,
suggestion.
Mhm, go ahead.
There was a suggestion recently about whether you could create a cached version and have a cached static version available when you're on maintenance mode. I can't remember that might have been in Zulip. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think that we created an issue for it. And there's modules in Contrib Space that actually do that. They haven't been ported to Backdrop yet, but I think one of them is called. I'll find it. I can't remember now the thing. It's actually being used as a solution to secure existing Drupal sites, because they use the Drupal backend, even if it's outdated, like Drupal 7. And then what they use the actual Drupal site as the static site generator. And then that's what's customer facing. And you can't attack a static site, right? So the idea was that you put the D7 site behind a firewall, and only allowed IPs or via VPN can connect to it. And what you use it is you update the content or the menus or the blocks, whatever you have, and then you push a button, generate an updated version of the HTML, and that gets published. And that's what the customers, the end users receive. So it's more or less a similar idea, but implemented only triggered when you have maintenance mode on.
Sure.
But
yeah. So it occurs to me that I know that some people that might watch this broadcast, some of our more technical members of the community, I think, get frustrated when we spend 20 minutes talking about putting an icon on a maintenance mode page, and they're like, isn't this time better spent fixing bugs? And I want to make the argument quickly that I think that for a lot of like people evaluating Backdrop and testing it out, right, that these little things that we're talking about right now can make a big difference in terms of making their experience. Like you're willing to overlook some little bugs if you see some cute, clever things that sort of like, oh, these guys are really making an effort here. And so I personally believe that it is worth spending time on some of these things, even though they seem very obscure and not really driving the functionality of Backdrop. But that's my little pitch.
No, I think it's a valid point.
But I think that it's also a valid point that we don't want to get too bogged down on this, because there's a lot of other more important things to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Well,
another issue?
Yeah, well, let me, what is our takeaway from this? And I think the takeaway from this would be Martin. So Martin has explored the idea of getting freelancers to help us with artwork. And the thing is, what we need to do, I think we don't want to pay somebody to create some artwork for us that then is going to get blocked by the community, right? There's no consensus around. So what I would recommend is that we get a specific proposal and maybe think of 2 or 3 places where we could use a little, custom image of Drop in a fun, creative way, and get some consensus. And then once we've got consensus that, like, if we do this, it's not, people aren't going to shout it down, then we go ahead and we commission and have somebody do it and go ahead and pay something. Because I think you're right, it wouldn't be that expensive. And it could be fun. So, like, it is, the where else might, the error pages might be someplace where we could use this. The other thing that actually, Greg, I'd love your opinion. If we did do something like this, should that graphic be optional, right? So should there in the
It's the same as we have the drag the created with Backdrop, whatever block is, right, powered by Backdrop, right?
Where is that setting? Is
that
there,
in that block? Yeah.
Right
you can remove that block basically.
Okay.
That's the old way of doing it. Now with this page thing, you could come to that page, and then And then
The maintenance mode one, I can imagine would be here, like, hide the cute dragon or something.
well, if it was, yeah, maybe that. Or use a
I think we would have it visible by default on new sites, because whatever we would do would be innocuous enough that it should be okay to put it on sites, but we should give people the option to turn it off. And so I guess what I'm wondering right now is really quickly, if like I were to create an issue that went beyond just the maintenance mode page, where else might we do something? Because I feel like, well, or should we just would it be better to just get consensus and do the one, or other obvious place would be like the login page, or even during the installation process to maybe have something.
Yeah, it seems to me that this would need, Jen actually thought the technical aspects of that, but I think that the request was to introduce a new layout, which would be used, I don't know, we call it, I don't know, headless and footless, I don't know. Something that doesn't have, it's just a single region where you can still put blocks, and by default it has only the main content and no header or footer. And then if you have the dragon as a block, you can just remove it from there, right? And that layout would not only be useful during the maintenance mode, but you can say, hey, I want to use this layout for login page as well.
Right. Okay. Well, I think
question though, would layout still work if you were under maintenance?
It wouldn't. You're right. You wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. Maintenance mode is special that way. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in my ideal world, what I would do is just come up with 3 places where we thought we could do something that would light and friendly and make the site, just look better. And we would get agreement that if we create artwork for those things, that people would be open to it. Though it might be that the maintenance mode is the easiest one to implement, and maybe the other 2 images require additional technical work, which is okay. We would at least have the artwork ready to go. Maybe that would propel those other issues along. But the point is, we don't want to create the artwork if people are going to just poo-poo it and say, you guys are crazy. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking, maybe it's better to just focus on one place, but I'd kind of like to suggest, 2 or 3 more places. So maybe think of somewhere else. And the login page might be a great one. And even if we haven't solved all of the technical problems, we could get the artwork done, and that again might push the other thing along.
But yeah, that other old issue, the one about the login page, is a good one for the next minor, because it also solves a technical usability issue.
Okay.
The fact that people need to have some mental, I guess, separation of what is the front end and the back end without having to necessarily understand that, which WordPress is doing a good job at communicating, right?
Sure.
Another thing that was sort of like indirectly implied in the screenshots for that issue, which was that tab that you just went to click there.
I'm sorry, you want me to go back?
That one, yes, that one is, if you scroll back to the screenshots of November 2020 of the Gene theme, you will see that there's 2 of them, and one of them is a dark one. So we have another issue. I'll try to find the issue for it. Yes, so it's basically this with a different image and a dark mode. So we have another issue that would be a good candidate for the next minor, which is to have the 7 theme support a dark mode, like our admin theme support a dark mode. A feature that some people often, and also allow that to be configured per user. So it would be a preference for its user, not the admin imposing any colors to everyone.
Yeah.
Which would be helpful for certain content editors that prefer contrast.
Sure.
Right? So that would be a good related issue to that.
Okay.
Right.
I wanted to. Okay, are you done? We can keep talking about that. I wanted to go back when you're done to this other issue.
I'm done. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to this issue, which I think Laren might have opened the issue to fix this problem. Do you know if there's a pull request for it? Because I'm wondering, is there any technical problem with getting this I was involved in the PR that actually added this block below here. And we were aware of this problem when we created that PR. And I
Yeah.
couldn't think of an easy way to solve it. So I don't know, but I'm not that clever. So what I'm asking is somebody cleverer than me, I would think this shouldn't be too hard to solve, but would it require like some JavaScript or something? Or does it just require theming this sort of region where this is to make it look better?
Yeah, so the issue that you're looking for is 6074.
Thank you. Is there a pull request?
No, it's just
Oh.
reported a screenshot and
Oh, it was Jen, not Larry. I thought Laren opened that. That's okay. I don't care who opened it.
yeah. See,
yeah.
Laren has so Jen has raised that one, but there's an older issue
Oh.
that Laren is linked to 5769. Yeah,
Okay, yep,
there you
same
go.
thing.
Yes.
Okay, so
I think why we're stuck there is the same old we are changing the HTML output being rendered, and the theme change that we don't want to make or whatever.
there we go. I found an issue that I wanted to work on. Last month, yep, I'm feeling that way again. Every time now that other people have, it was bothering me for a long time. It's one of those cases. As soon as other people start bringing it up, then I'm like, okay, I'm not wrong. Being annoyed by this. We should fix this because it's like it's a different. Yeah, no, thank you for installing backdrop. It's like your very first impression of the front page.
Exactly.
Is got this broken kind of block and not good. Okay, well, if anybody has any tips on how to solve this, please put them in. Should we, I mean, this does look like it's a replacement, isn't it? Or is Jen's issue slightly different?
No, yeah, the Jen's the wording is different. Yeah, it says page looks broken after fresh install, messages and cards conflict.
Okay. So she's sort of bringing in the cog, I think, but otherwise she's talking about the same problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a duplicate or not.
Okay, well, we should figure that out so that we don't
could
have competing discussions going on.
Exactly.
But right now, either of those, if anybody has ideas, please comment on those. I may take it upon myself to sort of advocate for this, even if it's just a bug. And is this a bug fix? I think it probably is.
It is a user experience, yeah.
So we don't really need a full advocate, but we need somebody to push it through and get it into one,
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else that somebody wants to talk about? We're running out of time, but Greg, did you have something else lined up?
One last
Sure.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to drop off, so I'll
Okay.
see you next week. Cheers.
Thanks,
See you,
Martin.
Thanks.
Good night.
So the other one on my list is 6099.
Okay.
So it would help.
Do you have any screenshots?
There it is.
This is
So
helpful.
this is what I want it to be. If you switch back to the demo side and go to the roles page.
Let's take it out of maintenance mode quick.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Configuration, user roles, yes. Yep, roles,
Yeah.
there it is. So what's bothering me now is that we have a table there and we say that these are the roles and the names, but next to the names, we actually have, for the anonymous and dedicated ones, we have an indication of required that is part of the name. And I thought that there's two problems that I'm trying to solve on that issue. So if you go back there in the screenshot, what I was suggesting is,
There we go.
yeah, that one. Again, wordsmithing, right? A separate column that explains the special functionality that each role has, right? And since we have indications, we need an indication basically for which, because let me take it a step back. So there's two settings now in the default roles field set. So if you switch back again, sorry, to the actual site. Yeah, if you expand, is that a recent? Oh, maybe it wasn't updated yet. Yeah, where we have the administrator role, one thing that we're introducing there, if you expand that, is that we now set a default editor role as well. So there's two options there, but there's no, unless you expand that option, you don't know if the roles that are named editor and administrator are actually the default editor and default administrator, which have special functionality. And in some sites, people may create a separate role that they call something else, and they give it to the editor. So we need some way to say, all right, the anonymous and authenticator roles are required. You can't delete them, right? The system required. But has any of the, I don't know, 12 roles that you have on your site been set as an administrator, and then which one, without having to expand that field set there? And if you switch back to the issue now, the way that I approached it was with that separate column there.
Sure.
That specifically says that. Looking for feedback, maybe it's not the right way to do it, but I find it better now that we have a column that is called name, and it actually has the names of the roles and nothing else, like the machine name and the human readable name, the label. And then also, if you scroll down, I think that the pull request that I was working on also warns you if you try to delete a role and that has special functionality. So
here.
Yes, exactly. So if you try to delete the editor role, and it is, see how it says the role is currently configured as the default content editor. Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
And if you have the administrator role, I had a role that in the screenshot that I called it Superman, right? And it had, I have set that to be both an administrator and an editor. So the message adapts itself, and it says that role is configured as a default administrator and default content editor. So basically, there's two things that are happening here: an indication in the table, and when you try to delete those special roles. That's it.
Sure. Yeah, well, it's not something I would have noticed a need for, but when you explain it, it makes sense. And I think, one of the things you're getting, well, we can see that right here, right? When we configure this role, no. Okay, so it doesn't, the word required is not actually hard coded into the role name, which is what I thought it was.
It's not part of the name of the role. It's not. Right. And you can see it in the machine name underneath it, where it just says anonymous there.
Right, yeah.
There's also, like, if you go back to the table, there's also the machine name is also shown with gray text right below its name. So you have an indication that it's the required bit is not part of the name, yet it's bolded and part of the name.
Yeah, sure. Well, it seems to me like that's less of a problem than the other thing you're addressing.
Well,
that part maybe feels a little more important to me, which is to indicate this new setting. And for those, if anybody's watching this, this is a new feature that we don't have. I think we haven't updated our sandboxes, right? Our sandboxes are still using 1.24, and there's a version 1.25 out that includes this new role that, well, it's not a new role. It's a new, feature. What is it? Feature,
yeah, for the roles. And the other thing is that if people do not agree, this is what I want feedback on. If you scroll at the top where I have the table, if you think that the additional, yes, it's just a screenshot. So if you think that the additional column on the table complicates things, then I would be happy if we kept the indication of required next to the anonymous and authenticated, but in a similar fashion, we added as brackets in the same column. Sorry, in the same column. Yeah.
I don't know if special functionality is the right label either, because required doesn't feel like a functionality.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah, I understand. You're asking for feedback.
Yes, exactly. And if we don't create a separate column, then we don't have that problem. We don't have to figure out what to call it.
Right. Right. Okay, I think it's after our time is up. We got through a number of issues. I think we should just wrap this up and get ready for our weekly dev meeting.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks,
everybody,
everyone.
ending this broadcast. Bye now. Hey,
Bill
Luke.
says live.
Hello.
Team, I think we're
Oh,
still.
I did the same thing